Good morning and welcome to another tropical update from Cayman Hurricane Center. Again, out of the frying pan and into the fire here, folks. We are looking at Hurricane Debby, which is on the verge of getting ready for landfall in the Florida Big Bend area. Just noting as of the 4 a.m. update, they are doing hourly updates as the system approaches landfall. Again, as of the 4 a.m. update, 29.3 north, 83.7, about 40 miles west northwest of Cedar Key, Florida, or about 80 miles southeast of Tallahassee, Florida. Winds are at 80 miles per hour, the movement north-northeast at 12, pressure 981 millibars. Now, folks, going into here the forecast and the watches and warnings here, you can see where the hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings are for the coast of Florida, as well as for Georgia and South Carolina. Just quickly noting here the impacts here for Debby, what we're expecting for some of these areas here. And then we'll get a little bit into the forecast here itself. Want to note here, storm surge wise, again, Yankeetown to Ocklawankney River, 6 to 10 feet. Chassahowiska to Yankeetown, 4 to 6 feet. Ocklawankney River to Indian Pass, 4 to 6 feet. Middle of Longboat Key to Chassahowiska, 3 to 5 feet. Tampa Bay, 3 to 5 feet. And middle of Longboat Key to Englewood, Florida, 2 to 4 feet. And that's all in Florida. For South Carolina, area there, mouth of St. Mary's River, again, Georgia, up to South Santee River, South Carolina. We're expecting 2 to 4 feet, I guess, at least initially. Folks, biggest threat of all out of this, again, despite this being a hurricane, of course, hurricane threats here, will be the potentially catastrophic rainfall situation that is likely to develop here, folks. Again, Debby is expected to produce totals of 6 to 12 inches with maximum of 18 across portions of central and northern Florida, southeastern North Carolina, and southeastern North Carolina through Friday. The rainfall will likely result in considerable flash and urban flooding, with significant river flooding is also expected. But more importantly here, folks, for Georgia and South Carolina is where we're expecting a potential historic rainfall event. 10 to 20 inches of rain with local amounts of around 30 inches or so are expected through Friday, and this potentially historic rainfall event will likely result in catastrophic flooding. Also noting, folks, again, the swells by the system are affecting the northeastern Gulf Coast, and will be affecting much of the Atlantic southeast coast here later today. That will continue through the middle of the week. And of course, also not forgetting the threats of tornadoes. And we have seen those overnight and earlier yesterday. That will spread across northern Florida, southern Georgia today, and the threat will spread northeastwards across Georgia and South Carolina a little later on today. Again, here are the key messages. You could pause the video and have a look at the details there for the key messages. Again, folks, satellite imagery here, we can see The core of the system, the sort of convective canopy, the CDO there of the system nearing the coast, and we can see the bands that extend already quite a far out ways to the Georgia, South Carolina area, the Atlantic area, even into the Bahamas still, into the Gulf of Mexico. We can even see some of the feeder bands extending all the way into the Caribbean, where the system came from. And I will show you that here in just a moment on radar imagery. We do have Hurricane Hunter recon aircraft out there. We had one just out there a while ago. That has now left. We have a new one en route, so we'll closely monitor the progress of that. Of course, we're looking at surface observations, and we could see where storm force winds are. I'm sort of picking up here along the coast area, and we can see the wide breadth here of the overall large-scale wind field. So we'll have that. Now, again, just looking at the radar imagery here, folks, we could see here where the eye is approaching the coast, and we do see the eye wolf starting to make its crossing across the coast. We've seen these little red warned areas of tornadoes here, and we saw that as the bands were moving up the coast. Now, we could see here on the Caribbean wide shot radar imagery where we do see some of the feeder bands and the inflow of moisture coming out of the Caribbean and heading up. And this is what's going to feed this significant moisture into the area here, into Florida and the southeastern U.S. there, Georgia and South Carolina. All of this moisture features taking all of that up from the Caribbean and up into the region. Now, just quickly noting here the forecast uncertainties. These are the forecast guidance here. And again, one thing that is certain, yes, he moved towards northeast, eventually turning out here, stalling off of the southeast coast. And then here's where the uncertainty lies, is where exactly it goes beyond here. There is even the possibility that it could just sort of turn around and head back to Florida and into the Gulf, albeit that it seems unlikely. Majority of the guidance are leaning more towards, again, stalling out here and then eventually moving into Georgia, South Carolina area. And again, this is why we're expecting a significant rainfall event with the place just with the system just sitting over the area. Maybe after the system makes landfall, maybe we could then see the system start getting dragged out. But for the most part, within the next 5 days or so, it'll be pretty much in the same area around here. So again, a significant rainfall event setting up here for this. If it does manages to stay offshore a little bit longer, then there is the chance for some re-intensification before it makes its way back in. That's why we do need to watch very closely for Georgia and South Carolina. Again, folks, we'll have another update coming up very soon. And of course, part 2 of the updates talking about our other system in the Atlantic. That's all for now for Cayman Hurricane Center.